So what do you think the tipping point in education would be, and what do you think would bring on the change?
Okay, that's a good question. Well, first of all, my name's Annie. I'm the Education Director for Road Trip Nation. And as far as tipping point in terms of education, and we talked about tipping point being kind of a more positive turn in how to get students engaged, I think that we're kind of in the perfect storm in terms of a tipping point where you have a not so great economy, you have all this new technology, and then you have competing countries who are outperforming us in a lot of different areas. So I think we're kind of in the middle of what could be a really great opportunity for American students. I think we've heard it a lot here today. It's all about being student-centered, and I think that we have this perfect storm of things that we really need to fix, and it's an opportunity to fix it. So looking at the students as the driving force and what interests them, and making education more interest-based, and so much of that is technology. And so how can we leverage technology to have the students be the drivers and kind of rethink our model and bring creativity in the classroom, but still focus on science, technology, engineering, and math, and all those really important things, but still letting students be creative and kind of determine their own destiny.
My name is Melanie Dubose. I'm from the East LA Performing Arts High School. And I think for things to change, we have to completely change the parameters of the discussion. It can't be about like making students better achievers. We need to think about like, what do people need to do to survive in the world, and how can we give everyone, how can we help them develop the skills they need to live successfully and be productive. And the whole discussion has to change. This whole thing of the standards is crap. It doesn't have anything to do with how you live in the world, and filling in bubbles doesn't make you productive. And that really smart, capable students fail all over the place. And I teach in schools where 60% of the students drop out, and they're wonderful and great and creative, and we're just completely failing them. We just have to ask ourselves, like, what can we do to make education meaningful, and how can we have people become engaged so that they can develop their capabilities?
Hi, I'm Susan Egan. I've been in education for 42 years, and I have seen a steady decline in resources, support, and services. And I'm not sure what the tipping point is, unless it's just absolute devastation, lack of total resources. We've lost just about everything we've ever had in terms of funding, in terms of doing more with less, to the point of ridiculousness. I hope we're at the bottom. I hope it's going to go nowhere but up, and that the next 42 years might be a little more interesting.
Hi, I'm Deepal Patel. I'm a marketing teacher in Charlotte, North Carolina. I teach high school. I think it's a global competence. What we are preparing our students for is not enough, and it's not just the fault of curriculum or teachers, but it's the stakeholders, the parents, accountability. Everything is not aligned, and what we're producing is not competitive in the world, in the global marketplace. So now is the time we have to make the change before it's too late. It's a figure of speech in my country. I'm from India. That if you're walking and you see a ditch, you have to walk. You have to turn your pathway. You have to go across to get around it. If you don't, you are in the ditch. So we are seeing the ditch. It's about how we turn, where we turn. What I think where we should turn is actually go backwards, like 20-30 years ago, where traditional education was, where there was importance of creative memorization, discipline in learning, accountability from parents, the learner himself. And once we have that support, we can do more with the limited funds and the other issues we face today in education.
So my name is Holman Park. I'm 16 years old and I'm a student. I'm a junior at Northwood High School. That the students need to be at the forefront at making policies, making programs, challenges, competitions that really appeal to them. What we don't see in education is it's a lot of the adults saying that this is what you should like, or this is what you like. And what we need to change is that the students need to say what they like, and design the programs or the educational ideas around them, not around the community, but specifically towards them.
Hi, Hi, my name is Katina Papson. I'm an artist and an educator, and the question that I'm answering is one thing that I've heard at the Big Ideas Fest that I think will work for education, right? So one big idea that I think is a great big idea is not a new idea, but it's an idea that the work that we do with young people should be relevant to their lives and as student-centered as possible. And it's easy to say that, it's easy to say we're doing that, but I think the idea is that that information, that direction come from the students. So allowing them to drive and be in the driver's seat of their own education is humbling for educators. If we can strip ourselves of our egos and let young people who are extremely capable, in many ways more capable of driving their own education than we are, then the possibility of young people really staying engaged in learning and becoming lifelong learners is a greater possibility.
So one of the ideas I thought which is really sticking around and everyone's been talking about is tracking your learning over time, which is a lifelong learning experience, and that hasn't been possible until today because there haven't been tools that allow you to kind of track your experience and map them up to a lifelong journey, which kind of lead on to better things and helping you understand where you are in the entire picture. So that's what I think is going to stick because it's one of the needs that hasn't been addressed by any of the technology solutions until now. I run a startup, and what I'm thinking of is how do I actually take this learning and incorporate the ideas of lifelong learning in my platform so that it can help everyone in the long run.
I do a little bit of research on impact and evaluation of open educational resources, but mostly I work to try to connect people with resources that they need and to encourage open teaching and learning practices at the university.
So what did you get out of this conference?
So what did I get out of this conference? I learned about all of the different ways that our practices are intersecting, so the importance of connecting teachers with tools and resources and templates and information that they can actually use in the classroom, and that there are lots of little pockets for innovation. I think I realized that this was about big ideas, but I think a lot of the conversations that happen in the in-between space are some tools or some perspectives that we can use and take into our work setting, and that was what I really appreciated out of the action collabs, is a couple of those techniques that we can use to push ideas forward and to make them happen. And I got to see that bigger picture of what other people are doing, where I could plug into that with my research or with my practice or with supporting people, so just answering questions that other people might have or that kind of thing. So there were a lot of information connecting points.
So is this conference what you expected?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I had no expectations coming in, but I was pleasantly surprised by what happened here. It was a very good experience.
And then you said that you had opened yourself. It's not normally what you do, but you decided to let go and just go with it. Did you learn anything?
Yeah, well, I usually, I do a lot of work with students, doing a lot of like teamwork and connecting and ice breaking, but I don't do improv, and we don't stand up and say yes and woo-hoo and all of that stuff, and normally I don't do that kind of stuff, but when I came here I said, I made a commitment to just kind of go with it, and going with it, it was nice because I think it helped sort of create an atmosphere where I could connect with the people that were in my